The rain hit hard that night, cold and heavy, like little needles from the dark sky. The streets of Old Dock 9 were empty, except for broken crates, flickering neon signs, and rusted cables swinging in the wind. Jack was closing his repair shop, locking the gate with tired hands. His day had been long. Another broken generator, another unpaid job, another lonely dinner waiting in silence. He turned to leave, but stopped. There it was again, a sound. Not wind, not metal. It was soft, shaky. Like someone crying. He followed it, his boots splashing in shallow puddles. The sound came from the alley behind his workshop, a dark, narrow place where the streetlights never worked and people never went. Jack reached the edge of the alley and saw a small shape curled up near the wall. At first, he thought it was just trash until it moved. A little girl, no older than 7, sat huddled against the wall. Her skin was pale blue and glowing faintly, her hair thin like silk, her clothes torn and soaked. Beside her lay another body, larger, not moving. The girl looked up, her large violet eyes filled with tears. "Please," she whispered, voice trembling, "please fix my mom. She won't stop shaking." Jack's heart stopped. He looked down at the woman lying next to her. Her body trembled nonstop, her breathing shallow. Her arms were wrapped around herself like she was freezing even. Though it wasn't that cold, Jack stepped back. "No, I can't," he said, raising his hands. "I don't treat aliens. I'm just a mechanic." The girl didn't move. She just stared at him with eyes too wide, too broken. She clutched her mother's hand tighter. "She'd die," the girl said quietly. "She said humans know how to fix things. She said you might help." Jack looked down at the trembling woman again. Her face was full of pain, her body twitching like something inside her was breaking. He sighed, cursed under his breath, and then bent down. "All right," he muttered. But just to take a look, he picked up the mother. She was light, too light for an adult, and carried her into his shop. The girl followed quietly, her bare feet wet from the rain. Inside, the shop was warm and dim, filled with broken machines and glowing tools. Jack laid the woman on an old cot and checked her pulse. Still there, but weak. Her body shook as if electricity ran through her veins. Her eyes opened for a second, cloudy, frightened, and then closed again. What happened to her? Jack asked the girl. "She touched a machine," the girl said, her voice tiny in the lab. "Back on Delta 4. She said it was glowing red. And then she started shaking like this." Jack blinked. Delta 4. T repeated. That place was off limits now, shut down by the Federation months ago. Toxic tech. Illegal projects, rumors of neural experiments that went wrong. "She's not sick," the girl added. "She's broken." Jack stared at the woman's shivering form. He had seen machines overheat like these sun-stable circuits. Too much input, but never in a living body. He touched her wrist gently. Suddenly, a shock of heat shot up his arm, and he jumped back. "What the?" The girl gasped. "You felt it too." Jack rubbed his hand, heart pounding. "Something's not right," he said. "This isn't fever. It's like her body's reacting to something." He looked at the girl again. She stood still, soaked, shivering, but not crying anymore. Just watching him, silently begging. Jack took a deep breath. He could throw them out now, pretend he never saw them. He could go back to his quiet, broken life. But something deep inside him, something he thought was going, whispered, "Stay." He turned to the girl. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Luma." "Okay, Luma," Jack said. "I'll try to help. But you have to tell me everything. From the beginning." Luma nodded slowly as Jack pulled up a stool and opened his old terminal. He didn't realize that this moment, this choice would change his life forever, because Luma wasn't just any alien child, and her mother wasn't just broken. She was the key to a secret buried by the galaxy and Jack. He had just become their only lifeline. Asterisk, the storm outside grew louder. But inside Jack's workshop, time felt frozen. The woman still shook on the cot, her body jerking every few seconds like something was crawling under her skin. Luma sat beside her mother, holding her cold hand tightly. Jack watched them from across the room, his hands clenched, his mind racing. He had seen injuries, infections, even alien viruses, but this was different. No fever, no bleeding, just violent tremors and glowing skin. It wasn't death approaching. It was something else, something Jack couldn't name yet. He pulled out an old scanning tool, one of the few medical devices he still had. It wasn't fancy, but it could read vital signs and energy patterns. He hovered it over the woman's body. The screen flickered, then turned red. Jack frowned. "This can't be right," he muttered. "What does it say?" Luma asked quickly, eyes full of hope. Jack turned the screen toward her. "It says, she's absorbing energy from her surroundings," he said slowly. "Not just that she's fighting it off. Like her body thinks everything around her is dangerous." Luma blinked, confused, like she's allergic to the air. "Not the air," Jack said. "Me. This place." Maybe humans. That made Luma's face go pale. But she came here because she said humans were kind. She said you knew how to fix things. Jack rubbed his face. "I'm not a doctor, Luma. I fix machines, not people." Luma pointed at her. "Mother, she's not like other people now," she whispered. They put something inside her back at the lab, then locked the door. Jack froze. Who locked the door? "The scientists," Luma said. "They screamed and ran. When she started glowing. She broke the glass and carried me out." Jack's stomach turned. He had heard of this kind of tech: experimental implants, failed neural upgrades, illegal testing. They were supposed to create empathy, mind links between species, but something had gone horribly wrong. He stared at the woman on the cot, her body trembling, glowing slightly, her breaths shallow but steady. "Her body isn't shutting down," Jack said, more to himself than Luma. "It's trying to protect her from you," Luma asked. "From everyone," Jack said. "She's not dying, she's reacting suddenly." The woman's hand snapped out and grabbed Jack's wrist. Her eyes opened wide, and they were glowing with a golden light. Jack cried out, but he didn't pull away. Instead, a wave of images crashed into his mind. A white lab filled with lights and alien machines, voices yelling in panic, someone shouting, "It's unstable. Disconnect the human now." And then pain, unbearable pain, as if her whole body had caught fire from inside. Jack pulled his hand back, gasping for air. The woman fell limp again, but her hand still trembled. Luma ran to her side. "Mom?" she cried. "Are you okay?" She showed me something," Jack said, still shaking. "She was part of a project, a neural project. It connected her to someone. Someone human." Luma looked at him with wide eyes. "Was it you?" Didn't answer, but in his chest, a strange memory stirred, something from years ago. A flash of a lab, a promise made to a desperate alien woman. "If anything goes wrong, I'll protect your daughter." He shook his head, trying to push the thought away. "Look, Luma, I need to know everything, okay?" he said firmly. "What exactly did they do to your mother?" Luma sat down slowly and nodded. "They gave her a chip. Something they said would let her feel what humans feel. She was a translator, but they said that wasn't enough anymore. They wanted real understanding." Jack's face turned cold. "So they put a machine in her brain," he muttered. "They tried to build a bridge and instead, they built a bomb." He walked to a shelf and pulled down an old metal case. Inside was a dusty device with blinking lights, a neural stabilizer. It was banned tech, dangerous, untested, but maybe it was the only chance. He looked at Luma. "If I connect this to her, It might help her stabilize, he said. But if I'm wrong, it could kill her. Luma swallowed hard. She's already dying, she whispered. Please try. Jack nodded slowly as he knelt by the trembling woman and placed the device on her temple. He felt like he was back in that lab again, facing something bigger than himself the moment the stabilizer touched her skin. Her body jerked, then froze. The lights dimmed, and for a second, everything went quiet. Jack and Luma stared, holding their breath. Then the woman gasped one deep, clear breath, and her glowing skin began to fade. Luma let out a sob and hugged her mother tightly. Jack sat back, shaking. It wasn't over, not yet, but now he knew she wasn't dying. She was awakening. The workshop felt still, like the room itself was holding its breath. The neural stabilizer blinked with a steady blue light. No shaking. No glow, just silence. Jack stared at the alien woman lying on the cot. Her chest rose and fell slowly. Her face calm for the first time since he had found her. Luma sat beside her mother. Holding her hand and whispering softly, Jack stood by the table, unsure if what he'd done had saved her, or only bought time. Then without warning, her eyes snapped open. Golden light burst from them, and Jack felt a sudden pull in his mind. He stumbled back, grabbing the workbench for balance. But it was too late. The link had started. A flood of images crashed into Jack's thoughts. He saw her unknownly younger, standing in a white room, wires attached to her head. Voices echoed. Subject 12 shows signs of mental pairing. Proceed with the empathy exposure. Then pain, confusion, panic, a child crying behind glass. Luma Jack's heart pounded as the vision sharpened. The woman was reaching out not with her hands, but with her mind. She was showing him something important, something he needed to see. Another image came, more clear this time. A glowing machine in a dark lab-around device pulsing with red energy. A human scientist shouting, "Get her! Out! Get them both out!" But it was too late. The woman touched the device, and her body lit up like fire. Then the vision shifted again. Jack saw his own face years younger standing behind a console. He was part of it, part of them, and he had promised her something. "I'll protect the girl if anything happens to you." Jack gasped and fell to his knees, the vision ending like a flame blown out. The woman collapsed back onto the cot, unconscious again. Luma ran to him. "What happened? Are you okay?" Jack looked at her, stunned. "I saw it," he whispered. "I saw everything." "You saw her mind?" Luma asked. He nodded. "They used her in an experiment to create a mental bridge between aliens and humans. She was the test subject hand. It worked, but the system backfired." He stood up slowly, heart still racing. "They called it Project Mercy." He said they tried to make her feel what humans feel. But instead, she absorbed too much, and it broke the balance. Luma looked scared. "Is that why she started shaking?" Jack nodded. Her body couldn't handle all the human signals, the emotions, the memories. Her mind started reacting. Then he paused. "Luma," he said slowly, "I was there. I was one of the engineers." Luma's eyes widened. "You knew my mom?" "I didn't remember at first," Jack said. "I left the project before it fell apart. They erased parts of my memory to protect secrets. But your mom remembered." Luma turned to look at her sleeping. "Mother, she didn't forget you," she whispered. "She said you'd come." Jack sat down heavily. All this time, he thought he was just a nobody fixing scrap. But now, the past was coming back, and it brought danger with it. Just then, a soft beep echoed from the stabilizer. The screen blinked yellow, and a warning flashed. "Tracer DITC." Jack's blood ran cold. "They tagged her," he muttered. "Someone knows she's here." Luma clutched his sleeve. "Who are they?" Jack's voice was tight. The same people who built the lab, he said. The ones who shut it down, they don't want proof that it ever existed. He stood up, his old instincts kicking in. We need to move her, now. But where? Will we go? Luma asked, scared. Jack looked at her. We'll go somewhere they can't trace, can't listen, he said. I know a place deep in the mining fields, off the grid. Suddenly, the front door alarm buzzed. Jack froze. Then looked at the screen. Unmarked shuttle detected 2 life forms. Apimo's face turned white. They're here, she whispered. Jack grabbed a plasma wrench and picked up the neural stabilizer. He looked at Luma. Stay behind me, he said, voice steady. No matter what happens, don't let them take your mother, and deep. In the shadows of old Dock 9, someone was watching. Someone who hadn't forgotten Project Mercy either, because the woman on the cot wasn't just a failed experiment. She was proof that the human mind and alien soul could become one, and that made her more dangerous than any weapon. Jack's heart pounded as the unmarked shuttle landed outside. The metal walls of his shop trembled from the low hum of its engines. Luma clutched her mother's hand tightly, her eyes full of fear. Jack peeked through the corner window. 2 figures stepped out of the craft. They were tall, masked, and dressed in smooth gray armor with no markings. Not bounty hunters, not soldiers, something worse, cleaners. They weren't here to arrest. They were here to erase. Back door, Jack whispered. He grabbed his old tool bag and shoved the neural stabilizer inside. Then he lifted the still unconscious woman gently into his arms. Luma opened the rear panel door and cold air rushed in. They slipped out quietly into the night. Hiding behind crates and old cargo shells, Jack led them through the narrow maze of Dock 9. Every step waking memories he had buried years ago. I remember this place, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. This was where we tested the early link tech. Luma looked up, confused. This dock. Jack nodded slowly, before it became a dumping ground. It was a secret site for neural bridge testing. We used human engineers, alien translators. Your mom was one of the first volunteers. They reached a side tunnel. Half covered in vines and dirt, Jack pried it open, and they slipped inside. The tunnel led to his old maintenance bunkura place, untouched for years, as soon as they were. Inside, Jack set the woman down and powered up a dim light. The air smelled like dust and old memories. Luma wrapped her mother in a blanket and sat close. Jack pulled a rusted storage box from the wall and opened it. Inside were photos, old ID tags, pieces of broken tech, and a datapad. He powered it on, fingers shaking. A loading screen appeared. Project Mercy level red file, ACCS. Jack stared at it. This wasn't just a tool from his past. What crawled beside him? What is it? A scenes? Jack whispered, I designed the first empathy bridge, the very one that broke your mother's mind. Luma's eyes widened. But why? Jack looked at her slowly. Because I believed we could connect species, he said. Not just talk but feel each other's pain, memories, love, loss, but the human brain. It rejected it, and hers didn't. No, Jack said softly. Your mother took it all, every emotion, every sorrow from our test subjects. She didn't break till they forced a full link between her and me. Luma blinked. You mean you and her were connected? Jack nodded. I felt everything she did, just for a moment. But it was too much for me. I ran, he said, voice filled with guilt. I thought she died when the program collapsed. When the lab exploded, Luma was quiet. Then she whispered. She said you'd protect me. Jack swallowed hard. She remembered that. She said your name in her sleep. Luma said, Jack Talon, the one who ran. But promised. He looked away, ashamed, outside. The sounds of boots echoed faintly above them. Someone was scanning the area. Jack powered down the data pad and stood up. They're searching the docks. He said, if they find the hidden door, we're trapped. Suddenly, the woman stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. Nan, this time, no golden light came. Only calm, tired breath. Jack knelt beside her. Do you know who I am? He asked, gently. She looked at him slowly, and a faint smile touched her lips. I never forgot, she whispered. You felt it, didn't you? The bridge still lives in you. Jack's eyes filled with guilt. I shouldn't have left, but... You came back, she said weakly. That means more. Just then, the wall behind them pulsed. A soft ping came from a motion sensor Jack had long forgotten about. Someone was opening the tunnel. Jack jumped up. We have to go now. He helped the woman up, but she stumbled. Weak. I can't walk far, she said softly. Jack turned to Luma. There's a hover cart in the far tunnel. Go. Now, get it fast. Luma nodded and ran off. Jack stayed close to the woman, guarding the entrance with a heavy wrench in one hand and the neural stabilizer in the other. The past had finally caught up, and this time he wasn't running. Not from her, not from the girl, not from who he used to be. If he was going to protect them, he had to face what he helped build. Luma ran through the dark tunnel, her small hands brushing against cold metal walls. Her heart raced with every step. She had never been alone in a place like this before. But she didn't stop. Her mother needed help. And Jack needed time behind her. The distant hum of machines echoed closer. The sound of boots stepping carefully, but quickly. They were coming, in the old maintenance bay. Jack stood between the tunnel entrance and the woman. He held the plasma wrench tightly, the neural stabilizer strapped to his back. His eyes watched every shadow, every flicker of light. He had faced danger before, but never with someone to protect. The woman, still weak, leaned against a support beam. Her breaths were short, but steady. She looked up at Jack with tired eyes. They won't stop, Jack, she said quietly. They'll erase everything, including her. I won't let them, Jack said, voice low and steady. I left once, but not again. Just then, the tunnel lights flickered one by one. They shut off. Darkness filled the passage like water rising in a flood. Then a click echoed. A red beam of light danced along the far wall. Scanning, Jack backed up slowly. He whispered, "Get ready," from the shadows. Two tall figures stepped into view. They wore smooth armor, faces hidden behind black masks. One held a pulse rifle, the other a scanner glowing green. Subject located, one of them said, voice filtered and cold. Jack Talon present, said the other. Authorization for removal, approved. Jack raised his wrench. You're not taking her, he growled. The first hunter raised his rifle, but before he could fire, the woman suddenly stood tall, eyes glowing golden once more. A burst of psychic energy knocked the rifle sideways. It hit the wall with a loud crack, sending sparks flying. Both hunters turned to her. Surprised, she's still active. One muttered, her bridge is stabilizing. Said the other, too dangerous to leave alive. Jack lunged forward, swinging the wrench. It smashed against the first hunter's mask, shattering the visor. The man dropped to his knees, groaning. But the second hunter raised a shock baton and slammed it into Jack's side. Pain surged through him, and he fell hard to the floor. Gasping, the woman screamed not with her voice, but with her mind. The sound tore through the air, sending the lights bursting above them. The second hunter staggered, clutching his helmet. From the far tunnel, Luma appeared riding the small hover cart Jack had hidden years ago. She sped straight toward the woman, yelling, "Get on, now." The woman jumped onto the cart, still shaking but standing. Jack grabbed the back handle and climbed on as Luma sped the vehicle through the side tunnel. Behind them, one of the hunters raised a device and shouted, They're escaping through Route D7. Initiate lockdown. The tunnel lights turned red. Alarms blared overhead. Steel gates began sliding down one after another. Jack looked ahead. Faster. Luma, if we miss that last gate, we're done. Luma leaned forward, hands tight on the controls. The hover cart sped faster than it ever had before. Jack reached into his bag and pulled out a flare. He tossed it behind them. The light blinded the hunters for just a second. They reached the final gate, half closed already. The cart slid under with inches to spare, sparks flying from the top. The steel door slammed shut behind them with a loud crash. Silence followed. Only the sound of their breathing, only the soft hum of the hover cart slowing down. They were safe for now. Jack slumped down beside the woman, his body aching. Luma slowed the cart to a stop in an old mining cavern. Dark, hidden, forgotten by most. The woman reached for Jack's hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "You still remember how to fight." Jack gave a weak smile. "Yeah, but I don't remember it hurting this much." Luma sat beside them, her eyes wide, her hands still shaking. "They wanted to kill us," she said softly. "They would have killed me, too." Jack looked at her. "That's why we can't stay in one place anymore," he said. "They know you exist, now. And that means they'll never stop." The woman looked up at the ceiling. "They're afraid of the bridge," she said. "Afraid of what we could become." Jack turned toward her slowly. "What exactly did they put in you?" She paused, then said something that chilled him to the bone. "They didn't just build a link, Jack," she whispered. "They built a seed. One that grows when a human cares." The mining cavern was silent, deep underground and untouched for years. Dust floated in the cold air like soft snow. Lit by the dim blue glow of Jack's portable lantern, Jack, Luma, and the alien woman sat by the hover cart. Still breathing hard after the escape, but time was not on their side. "They won't stop," Jack said quietly, checking the old map. "On his wrist screen, they'll keep sending more. Stronger ones." The woman nodded slowly. "You saw what they fear," she whispered. "The seed inside me. It responds to human emotion." Jack stared at her. "What does that mean?" "You said it grows when a human cares." She looked at Luma with soft eyes, then back to Jack. "Love, empathy, even sorrow, they strengthen the connection. I wasn't just built to receive emotions, Jack. I was meant to carry them forward, to pass them into the next mind and the next." Jack's heart skipped. "You mean? You're some kind of transmitter?" The woman gave a tired smile. "A lifeline," she said. "A living bridge that carries understanding across species." Jack stood and paced. His mind was spinning now. If what she said was true, the Federation hadn't just tried to make her feel human pain, they tried to store it in her, like a memory vault. But why would they fear that? Luma asked, "Isn't that a good thing?" Jack stopped walking. "Because if the truth spreads, others feel what we did to her and her kind, governments would fall. The whole system runs on separation, on fear. Empathy destroys that." Suddenly, a sharp buzz sounded from Jack's bag. The neural stabilizer blinked red. Something was changing. Jack pulled it out, frowning. "It's detecting a signal." He muttered, "Not from them, from her." The woman's eyes fluttered, glowing faintly again. Her voice was softer this time, almost like two voices speaking in one. "It's time to finish the bridge," she said. "One last connection. Then the seed will choose its next host." Jack stepped back. "Wait, next host? What does that mean?" She looked at Luma. "She's not ready. Not yet." Then she turned to Jack. "But you are." Before he could react, she reached for him. Her glowing hand pressed against his chest, right over his heart. Jack's body went still. The world around him melted into white light. Then images, sounds, feelings. He saw the first test rooms, the scared volunteers, the hope in their eyes. He felt their fear, their trust, and then the betrayal. He saw himself, standing by a console, watching it all happen, and doing nothing. Tears rolled down Jack's cheeks. He didn't even notice. He felt her pain, her loneliness after he left, her struggle to protect Luma alone. He saw her sleeping in cold cargo bays, begging for help, hiding in shadows, and still believing that he would return. Then the light faded. Jack gasped and fell to one knee, breathing heavily. His chest burned not from pain, but from something. Elsa Bond, the woman, collapsed beside him, her body limp. Luma ran forward, crying, "Mom! Mom!" Jack pulled himself up and checked her pulse. "She's alive," he said softly, "but she's fading." Luma sobbed. "You said she'd be okay." Jack turned to her, eyes filled with something new clarity. "She passed it to me," he said, voice shaking. "She gave me the bridge," from behind his back. The neural stabilizer lit up brighter than before. Its core turned green, then gold. Jack stared at it, stunned. "It's adapting," he whispered. "It recognizes me." Now, suddenly, the air shimmered. Waves of unseen energy pulsed outward from Jack's chest. The lights flickered, the hovercart buzzed, and far away, systems blinked alive in ancient stations. Jack felt it inside, memories that weren't his, voices from alien worlds, sadness he didn't understand, but now carried. Luma looked up at him. "What happens now?" Jack held the stabilizer in one hand and her mother's hand in the other. "We finished what they were too afraid to complete," he said. "We spread the truth and let others feel what we felt." He stood, eyes glowing faintly now, like hers once did. "But first," he added, "we need to get far away from here, where they can't reach us." Luma stood beside him, her small hands slipping into his. The bond was not just between machines or minds now, it was family. And as the glow from Jack's body lit up the cave walls, far above, in a black glass room, a man stared at a blinking red screen. "Bridge, active," he said to no one in particular. "Lifeline has been passed." He turned to a wall of cameras, his face pale. "Send the Omega unit," he whispered. "If we don't stop it now, humanity will feel everything." The sun had not risen in the outer lands of Arcanus, not because it was night, but because this world had no sun, just thick clouds of glowing gas above mountains of crystal and ash. This hidden moon, abandoned decades ago, was where Jack brought them. It was far beyond Federation routes, invisible to most scanners, and more importantly, silent. He had built a small home from the wreckage of an old mining station. Metal walls now stood firm, powered by recycled energy cells and protected by natural rock. Inside, warm lights glowed as Luma placed a blanket over her resting mother. She was still weak, but stable. No more shaking, no more glowing pain. Jack sat nearby, reattaching wires to a new handheld version of the stabilizer. This one pulsed softly in rhythm with his heartbeat. The lifeline had become part of him now. Outside, the sky flickered with violet lightning. But inside, it was peaceful, safe. "Did you sleep?" Jack asked without looking up. Luma shook her head. "I kept watching her," she said softly. "I was scared. It might come back." Jack nodded. "It won't," he said. "Not now." He looked up at her. "You know, I used to think people couldn't change," he said. "That once you broke something, you had to leave it behind. But your mom, she believed someone could come back." Luma gave a small smile. "She never stopped saying your name." There was silence between them for a moment. Then Jack stood up and walked to a metal case under the table. He opened it and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. "What's that?" Luma asked. Jack unwrapped it slowly. It was a small crystal disc, humming with a soft blue light. "A memory core," he said. Inside this are the full records of Project Mercy, what they did, what we did, and how your mom survived. Luma's eyes widened. Why didn't you destroy it? Because someday, Jack said, people will be ready to face the truth, and when that day comes, this will be their lifeline. He handed the cord to Luma. Keep it safe, he said. It belongs to you now. Suddenly, a sharp buzz came from the outer sensor. Jack tensed and ran to the console. A screen flashed red. Unidentified vessel. Detected Omega unit en route. Jack's heart dropped. They found us, he whispered. Luma stood, frightened. But how? We were hidden. Jack grabbed the portable stabilizer and a backpack. They must have locked onto the lifeline, signal probably from the moment she passed it into me. He turned to Luma. I'll draw them away. You stay with your mom. No. Luma said firmly, we're not splitting again. Jack stared at her. She wasn't the scared girl in the alley anymore. She stood tall now, brave like her mother. Then the woman's voice came from the cot, faint but clear. You don't run from truth, she said. You carry it together. Jack turned to her slowly. You're awake, she smiled. I never left. Outside. A ship descended, black, sharp, and deadly. It hovered above the mountain, then dropped something. A soldier, massive in size, covered in living metal armor, landed with a crash. The Omega unit. Programmed not to question, only erase. Jack stepped out. Holding the stabilizer close, Luma stood behind him, her mother beside her. Leaning on a support cane, the Omega unit raised its arm and energy weapon, hummed to life. Subject, Jack Talon. The machine said, Directive, eliminate bridge carrier. Jack took a deep breath. He closed his eyes and let the stabilizer pulse through his chest. A wave of golden energy spread across the mountain like light from the sunrise. The Omega unit paused. Its systems flickered. Its weapon lowered slightly. It had no protocol for empathy. Then a soft voice broke the silence. Luma stepped forward. Said just 2 words. Feel this. She held her mother's hand. And her other hand reached out to Jack. For the first time, all 3 were connected. The lifeline expanded. Just between them, but outward, touching the machine's mind, and then something impossible happened. The Omega unit took a step back. Its voice glitched. Emotion. Registered. Mission. Unclear. The weapon powered down. Then the machine turned and walked away. Jack stared, stunned. They never planned for this, he said. They didn't think connection could stop a weapon. The woman smiled faintly. That's because they never understood the bridge, she said. It wasn't built to fight with fire, it was built to fight with feeling. Luma looked up at them both. So, what do we do now? Jack looked across the quiet sky. Now, he said, we build something better, and from the shadows of a broken galaxy. A new light began to grow. A human, an alien woman, and a child who carried hope. A new home, a new bond, and a lifeline that would never be broken again.